Rogan Report podcast. Check it out.
All things Joe Rogan by day. Rogan Report podcast by night. All day. All night. A half hour to an hour-ish episodes once a week.
The Rogan Report podcast.
All right, Shane. Welcome to the basement. Thanks for coming over, man. Bringing that UFC with you.
Yeah, man. Good
We
time.
just watched UFC 247, and it was a blast.
Yep.
Fucking terrible judging, but we'll get into that. Right now, we have to talk about the table of contents. Shit, we forgot to talk about Stephen A. Smith.
Mhm.
Important. Kobe's dead. Ari might as well be.
Yep.
Zombie apocalypse via the coronavirus.
Getting worse every day.
Seems bad. And then, of course, on our Rogan reporting, so that's right off the topic. In the Rogan reporting, we're going to talk about like 1419, Daryl Davis, 1422, Lex Friedman, 1423, Andrew Doyle was awesome. And today we both just listened to 1425, Garrett Reisman, and maybe like I don't know, was it 21 with Jim Norton?
Yeah.
We might touch on Jim Norton as well. And then maybe a couple of Joe jokes. We'll see. We don't have one written, but we've been talking about maybe just pulling one up here.
Yeah.
I like the idea of telling a joke, making people laugh. But maybe what if we like pull up some like, street jokes and people laugh hard at that and then they don't laugh at the things we just say during the podcast.
Might just hurt our feelings.
Maybe it makes us look bad if we start showing that other people are funnier than we are.
Yeah.
I don't know. Shit, we forgot to talk about Stephen A. Smith. Let's start there. So I had written down on my notes for the last show that I really wanted to say what an asshat Stephen A. Smith is.
Yeah.
Saying that Cowboy quit and that Cowboy folded like a fucking cheap lawn chair.
Yeah.
What
is this, his fifth UFC?
Oh my
this
God.
fucking guy?
Yeah. And, I thought Joe handled it perfectly in saying like, hey, he's entertaining and what he does is talk shit. And that, that has its place in other sports. And, but saying, not giving Cowboy the respect that he deserves, saying that Cowboy quit when Cowboy had a broken nose, a broken orbital, like fucking, he didn't quit. He got beat the fuck up very quickly, albeit. And, he sort of walked it back in his rebuttal to Joe, saying that we just didn't see enough from McGregor to show that he was ready for Khabib, right? That's kind of what Steven said his focus was, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
But that wasn't what Joe was criticizing. What Joe was criticizing was saying that Cowboy quit.
Yeah.
That is absolute bullshit.
He got fucked up.
Yeah.
What happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a bunch of windows are popping up on my computer right now. Mad pop-ups. I'm going to try to, I hope it looks like somebody else is controlling the computer from remotely. Maybe, I don't know.
It's never a
CIA.
positive thing.
No, I'm going to just quit Safari here.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're still recording. It looks like we are.
Nice.
So I guess, I don't know. I guess we're out of that.
Yeah.
So fuck Stephen A. Smith. Right. You heard it here. You heard it here second.
Apparently he's great when it comes to basketball and all the other sports that he's been doing that forever.
Sure.
How about you come in and give a little bit of respect to one of the fucking veterans and most fucking loved fighters in the UFC?
Yeah.
Like,
concur. How about the video of him cock punching? Did you see him hitting mitts?
Yeah.
There's a video of him hitting mitts. That
looking
is
pretty
absolutely
whack,
hilarious.
Yeah.
Looking like, and I saw somebody posted in this like Joe Rogan group that I'm in on Facebook that it was just a picture of Stephen A. Smith and then a written quote saying like, I'll fucking tell Joe Rogan in person, and if he doesn't listen with my words, I'll tell him with my fists or something.
Oh my God. I wish you would.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, obviously that's not real.
Yeah.
Somebody just made that to be funny. But the comments on that picture, people will be
That's
like
hilarious.
angry. Yeah, I mean, kind of silly, but
Yeah. Yeah. You're not going to want to stand in front of Joe.
no.
I don't know if you saw he posted he like took off his shirt for this reveal of how much weight he's lost for the carnivore diet.
It's all six-packy and
goddamn
ripped again.
rich, man.
Yeah.
Looks about 40 years younger than me.
Yeah, and me combined.
Yeah.
So yeah, good on Joe for getting back in shape with that carnivore diet. It's it's Veganuary. Is that what they?
Oh,
January typically is like vegan month.
damn.
And so taking it back for the carnivores.
There's something for every month and every day now. There's a special day for every day.
I guess.
Everything's real special these
I had
days.
a guy, I don't know if I mentioned it. There's a guy that just came and started talking to me at my work. Did I mention that on the podcast? I was like waiting to close my store, and a guy just comes up and he's like, I was like, hey man, can I help you? He's like, oh no, I'm just waiting. Hey, can I ask you, have you seen that Game Changers documentary? And I was like, I haven't seen it, but I'm very familiar with it. I've seen, both Joe Rogan episodes where they talked about it.
Right.
And he's like, oh yeah. No, it's great. I just want, I want to say, I think that, I was surprised, like, cause I'm vegan now and it's been just such a great thing in my life. And then started like spouting vegan facts at me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And like proselytizing about how I should be vegan. And I was like, there's things that I definitely agree with. Factory farming seems pretty fucking horrific and terrible.
Yeah.
But I don't think that health wise, you're going to get cancer if you eat meat, and that, meat isn't necessarily bad for you, especially if you get it from good sources. And the farming that's done in Canada is done, I think, to a lot higher standard than what happens in the States. Even the bigger farms that are for our grocery stores and whatnot, it's not the same kind of craziness. I have friends that work on these farms, and even just driving through Alberta constantly, you see these cows. They're always out in yards eating the grass and kind of lazing around and doing whatever the fuck they want.
Looking pretty happy.
Yeah, totally.
Our cows don't look tortured for the most part.
No.
Although if you go into a dairy farm, it's a different story.
Yeah, that may be true. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know as much about that as I do about the meat aspect of it. But you know what I don't see is I don't really know the pig farms in Canada, because that's really one of the most horrific things in the States that from the videos that I've seen is the crazy pig farms that they have down there, and like
I haven't seen any really in Alberta. No, like not like full on like operations.
I don't really know either. Yeah, like I'd have to research it a bunch, I guess.
I'm sure there is. Yeah,
you think there's some like horrific ones?
There must be
here?
something horrible here in Alberta.
Yeah.
We're the Texas of Canada.
I suppose.
Don't put it past us.
Yeah.
But
we also don't have like crazy wild pigs the way they do in the States.
No. They're scary, hey?
Yeah,
Imagine just having a nice walk in the woods and some pig tries to start eating you from the feet first.
You'll get hurt for sure.
Yeah.
They'll do some
If
damage.
they knock you down, I heard somewhere that you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
You might die pretty easily if they get you down.
Yeah.
Just start eating
That
your
wouldn't
ass.
surprise me.
Yeah.
All right. So that's enough about that. Let's talk about Kobe. So mainly, Kobe died. He died in no one is breaking that news here.
Yeah.
Or we're not breaking that news to anyone out there in the world. And probably most people that are tuning in to listen to us also know that Ari made a tweet on the same day that he died, saying that good. Basically, he should have died 23 years ago, and rapist is dead, and then called out saying that the reason he didn't go to jail is because the liberal media or liberal Hollywood likes basketball more than they hate rape.
Yeah.
And so that was got him in a bit of hot water. I heard he like lost his agent. I heard he had like a deal lined up for some kind of TV
I think
thing.
he lost some shows, some dates that were booked.
That got canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, do you think this hurts Ari's stock long term or not?
Not really.
Probably not, eh?
I think it just solidifies what he is, and his fans are not going to leave him for this.
Yeah, no. And it's not like it was like this was random out of the blue. Like when celebrities have died, he's tweeted almost every time he tweets something. Lots of different trolling.
There were some knee-jerk reactions to his tweet, for sure. Like some of the other podcasts I listened to had responses.
Oh, yeah?
Pretty much in the same day or day after.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's a little unwise, because now, even myself, after having it been a week or two ago, like,
now
it doesn't affect me the way it did the day he did. I was shocked when I saw it.
Yeah?
I really was.
I was, too. I saw it on Facebook. Someone had posted a screenshot of it, and I was like, oh boy, that's
intense, bro.
Yeah, I was like, that's gonna ruffle some feathers. I knew.
Yeah.
But like one thing, my friend of the show, Kathleen McGee, she shared an article all about how trolling is one of the kind of the most basic jokes. It is like what he wrote wasn't really funny, wasn't really a joke, but the point of trolling is to say something that's like gonna ruffle feathers and then laugh at the people getting super upset by what you said.
Yeah.
And it's not saying something that you necessarily mean, although I do think that Ari probably does mean a little bit, like, because I also saw a few articles about like where they recap what this girl said in court about her experience, and man, it is pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it makes you like a little bit sick to your stomach to hear the way she's talking about it. And I can see, like he said, basically, he admitted that he had this affair with her.
Yeah.
And she was saying it was non-consensual. He was saying that he thought that it was, and that it was. And I guess I could sort of see, like, the only people that are ever going to know for sure is him and her.
Yeah.
Right. And even them, he might think that it was genuinely, legitimately consensual. And she might think, no, it was not. And they might just not, they might be sort of in a disagreement. But fuck, it was hard to read.
Yeah.
For sure. The way she was describing it. And, you know, that she was like, basically said no a bunch of times. And that he was saying like, yeah, you're not going to tell anyone about this. And yeah, pretty gross.
It's dark.
So, yeah, I can't really blame Ari for, you know, trolling, trying to get a big reaction out of everyone, but also kind of meaning that, you know, fuck that guy. We shouldn't idolize him because he was a great basketball player.
I agree
100%
with that.
Shit.
The part that did kind of bother me, though, is there is another 8 people that were killed in that crash.
Yeah.
And there were children in the crash.
Yeah. No,
so that part's kind of hard to swallow.
Yeah. It's obviously pretty insensitive to the rest of those people. And yeah, you don't want the rest of his family to be exposed to this, but like that's just kind of part of our culture, and I don't really know how we fight against that.
And it's funny how much you see in the media, like I think it was his daughter or someone close to him was interviewed, and the interviewer brought up the rape allegations. Like she brought up a whole thing. It was a 45-minute interview, but the clips they played were obviously her bringing up the rape.
Yeah.
So this interviewer, I can't remember her name now, but she got roasted. Like the liberal media is attacking. It's so crazy, attacking people for questioning this rape allegation.
Well, I don't know. Should you be talking about that now? There is no real right time, I think, to talk to like a daughter about her dad's rape allegations. But
if you're going to talk Kobe's legacy, how can you not, right?
Yeah, true. And there is also, like, obviously he did a lot of great for the sport, and as far as inspiring people to, you know, lead healthy, active lifestyles and play basketball. And I think sports are healthy. Healthy competition is good for us, but
yeah. I mean, OJ was great for football.
Yeah.
He cut the fuck out of his wife.
But I think that's the thing, is people aren't, you know, just black or white.
Yeah. No. And especially great people have that potential, I feel like, in them to do also great fucking evil, you know?
Do you think they're more likely to, someone who's like, you know, super, super famous, that they're more likely to do something equally fucked up to the level of famous and kind of great that they are?
Just because they're not quite living on the same planet as everyone else.
Yeah.
You know? They're not having the same accountability that everyone else has. And especially for a rape situation.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. Wow. I hadn't really thought about that very much, but it sucks that it is that way, because like we want to think the best of our, you know, people that we look up to, these celebrities, or the, you know, be it actors or athletes or whatever, musicians.
It's definitely tough to see some of these people fall, you know?
Yeah. But I wonder if we just hear about it more, like, you know, maybe the amount of fucked up things that are happening outside of famous is completely on par with the amount of fucked up things that are happening within the famous people community, but we hear about it more with the famous people.
Yeah.
Because obviously.
I definitely think that's true. Yeah.
Do you think it's on par
with how society is? I mean, there's definitely a lot you don't hear about because it's not famous, you know, or the people aren't famous that are involved in the story, for sure.
So within famous people, do you think that they're more likely to rape or less likely to rape?
That's a big paintbrush.
All right. Well,
I don't know.
We should figure that out.
Yeah. There must be a stat on it.
Take some action against it, I guess. I don't know.
Hunt down some raping celebrities, or
yeah, I mean, at least something like that. All right. So we also wanted to talk about the coronavirus, the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, the numbers are crazier every day.
Yeah,
like, I do a check-in every day on it.
Yeah,
Stacy's starting to get sick of it because every day it's like she comes in the room, coronavirus.
Yeah, someone in BC died. Is that right?
Yeah.
We haven't had any deaths in. Have we had any cases even in Alberta?
Not yet, I don't think.
No.
No.
I don't really know.
I think it was 2 in BC, 2 in Ontario so far.
Okay.
1 U.S. citizen died, but that was in China.
Mm-hmm.
There's these cruise ship situations are kind of really crazy. I don't know if you saw that. There's 3 different cruise ships that are docked and have infected people on them. And the people on the ships are quarantined.
Oh.
I think the one I'm thinking of is docked at Japan. And they've already taken out a bunch of sick people from Britain, from Canada, from everywhere.
Taking them out like with a
Like
rifle?
No, into the hospital.
Oh, okay.
But it's funny you mentioned that. There's some pretty messed up videos in China of people being hauled away like bodily from their homes because they were suspected of having coronavirus, being tossed in these boxes and taken away.
Yeah, that's not good.
I don't think China's a place I'm going to live anytime soon.
No,
And not just because of this coronavirus.
I'll pass on China. I think.
Yeah, things seem weird over there.
All right. Well, what about the? Was there any actual like zombie-like videos
I don't
of
think
it?
so.
No, just state control.
I don't think we're at
videos?
that stage yet. It's give it another couple weeks. It's going to incubate. Like, have
Yeah?
you seen I Am Legend? That's a
Yes.
really neat depiction of a zombie story. The CGI in that thing's pretty bad, but
right. That's the one with the lions and
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bad
and Will Smith.
yeah. Will Smith is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, the CGI were they tigers?
Yeah.
Maybe I
Yeah.
forgot. There's like
They looked pretty whack.
that was bad.
And actually the zombies in that movie don't look great either,
Yeah.
but I liked the concept of the slow, like you see them walking the streets, they're losing their hair a bit and then they're starting to go crazier and crazier and
Yeah, there's like a, I don't know what you'd call it, like a scale.
Yeah.
And they get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Whereas like most other zombie movies, they're always at one level and they stay at that level the whole time.
and actually I should point out in I Am Legend they're not even technically zombies because none of them died.
Right.
They just
They're just sick.
became sick, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
It's
way
more
more likely.
Realistic, yeah.
Obviously.
Like rabies is a real thing.
Yeah.
And it basically can make you into sort of a zombie.
Yeah, well, that's what they used for 28 Days Later. Was the premise of rabies, like
Yeah.
a strain of rabies.
I think 28 Days Later is my favorite zombie movie.
Pretty fucking good.
Like now thinking back on having some space from all, like I haven't watched a lot of zombie movies in a long time.
Yeah.
And so I just think that probably that's my favorite.
Yeah. Well, and some of the themes that are explored in that movie are pretty intense and like so perfect for what would actually happen in a situation like
Yeah,
that.
totally. About how the survivors treat each other.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I just like that the zombies were fast too.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That makes the whole thing a lot scarier.
Yeah, totally.
Because I don't run that good.
Yeah, the Night of the Living Dead zombies, I feel like, I could probably take care of them. Walking Dead zombies, they don't stand much of a
As
chance.
long as you can keep walking backwards and shooting, you're
Yeah.
probably okay.
As long as you don't just get like surprised by one that's all of a sudden right beside
right.
you.
Yeah.
That seems to be the biggest problem on those movies. All right. So should we get into the Rogan reporting? Anything else on right off the topic? Any other news stories you wanted to talk about?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, well, I'm good with that. So let's go way back to Jerry 1419 Daryl Davis. You listen to that one?
I watched the Netflix thing on that. Too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Right on. So Daryl Davis is a blues musician and I guess you would say activist, anti-KKK, and has convinced like over 200 KKK members to like, would you say converted them back from KKK to like non-racism?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, and like they're giving them their robes and their like KKK stuff, and he's taking them and he's going to create like this KKK museum at some point with all of these ex-KKK. And man, like going through, great voice one.
Yeah.
You know who he reminds me of? What's the like physicist that's always talking, the black guy physicist?
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
He kind of sounds a little bit like Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
But great voice. And I thought, maybe the funniest thing on that episode was talking about all the different roles and what everyone is called. Like there's obviously the Grand Dragon.
Yeah.
And I didn't know like Grand is a national level or state level. I don't know, like there's different like go listen to the episode because they'll obviously explain it better than me, who doesn't remember what all the names or the
Yeah,
levels
but
are.
The names are pretty
But
sweet.
yeah, like there's the dragons and the poobahs and I don't know, whatever the fuck.
It makes me think of the Flintstones, actually.
Yeah.
Remember how there was
water
Grand
buffaloes?
Poobahs? Yeah, the
Yeah.
water buffaloes.
Yeah, no, that's why I just said poobah.
Yeah,
That was 'cause of the
totally. That
Flintstones.
brought me there.
I wish I had made notes about what all those names were.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the accountant has a name, and
Yeah.
like the recruiter has a name, and they're all like lizards and dragons and
It's really crazy.
whatever the fuck else. So that was interesting, but yeah, a really kind of impactful
Mhm.
episode as well, where it just makes you think, like, man, racism is still a problem, and you know, I do think that we're getting better.
Yeah.
But that stuff is all so recent. All of that.
But I think a big takeaway for me from him is that not all these racist people are inherently evil people. They grew
No.
up with these beliefs
No,
the same way any person grows up with beliefs.
totally. And like, he doesn't treat them necessarily as evil people either. Like,
Mhm.
he approaches them all as people and talks to them, and it doesn't take just one. Like, he's not going into the first interaction with somebody and saying, "Hey, you shouldn't be a racist and you should give up the KKK."
No,
Like, he's just trying to get to know people and just have conversations, and then, you know, after a few times of them getting to know him, that's what changes their mind about, like, oh shit, look, there's a black guy that I fucking really like. That's really cool. Right, I guess I'm giving up the KKK.
yeah, and that's a microcosm for the whole world. That's how the whole world could get better.
Yeah.
It's just people talking to each other and getting to know each other, understanding each other's points. So yeah, that was a great one.
I'm Google searching names of ranks in the
Yeah.
KKK.
The Grand Wizard is
Grand
definitely,
Wizard is one for sure.
I like that.
And I think that's the overall leader of the whole KKK, isn't it?
I think so.
So Grand must be the national level, and then there's like, okay, here we go. On Wikipedia, Ku Klux Klan titles and vocabulary. Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. Oh yeah, that was another thing he talked about, how there's like all these individual kind of groups of the KKK.
Yeah.
There isn't like one whole really big national thing.
And they
that's
don't
all
like each
related
other.
together. They have all these little tiny microcosms.
Yeah, like tribes, like that
Yeah.
don't get along, like
Yeah.
warring tribes, kind of.
Clancraft or clannishness membership. Okay. Alien is a non-member.
Hmm.
Citizen is a clan member. Passport is your membership card. Banished, expelled from the clan. Yellow dog, a hazing ritual similar to the type used in college fraternities. They're practiced by imperial officers called the Royal Order of the Purple Dog.
That one's not that cool.
No. Finances, imperial. I'm just looking for the.
Yeah.
Man, this is a really big article. It's not just a list.
You just
of
wanted
all-
a point form list, right?
Yeah, I was hoping for a point form list of the different, like, ranks. That's what I haven't even seen anything about the Grand Dragon.
Yeah.
All right. Well, whatever. Go listen to the episode. That is 1419 Daryl Davis.
Makes you want to make a cool club that has cool names that aren't racist.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
nice.
I'm the non-racist wizard dragon grand poobah.
Yeah. That'd be ideal.
Yeah.
All right. So what else should we talk about? 1422 Lex Friedman. Did you want to get into that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Russian. He spoke Russian on the episode. Read some poetry. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yep.
Or a little Bukowski.
Yeah. It's interesting to hear like a real nerd that's not like showed up at all. You know what I mean? Like he's not glitzy at all. Like he's giving you the straight nerd facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I guess he's an computer engineer,
Mm-hmm.
software engineer, and so he had quite a bit to say about like AI and where we're at with that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else. What was your big takeaways from it?
It's like we've had him on before, actually.
Yeah.
I was actually hoping to get more from that episode.
Oh yeah.
It was kind of more of a reiteration. And they talked a lot of other stuff other than what Lex Friedman's into, right? Like,
Yeah.
he's into jujitsu and all
Yeah.
these other things, but they didn't really center on the AI
Yeah, they talked a little bit about UFC.
as much as I wanted. Yeah, what new? He showed some of the fakery videos. There's some Boston Dynamic videos out there that are fake
Yeah.
that look like these
If it-
robots they're actually just actors.
Yeah, if it looks like if it's moving like a human,
Yeah.
it's a human.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, if it's showing any kind of movement that shows any kind of emotion, that's a human.
yeah. And he's kind of showing that we're not really there yet with like robots thinking and
Right.
we're not there yet.
No, and a long ways off, in his opinion.
Mm-hmm. The scary thing is how exponentially, though, once they are there, what happens, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that can change very quickly.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, if you look back to Terminator 2,
Yeah.
It went very, very quickly.
Yeah, it was bad.
It went
You need
so
to stop
quick.
Skynet quickly.
How about 1423 Andrew Doyle? Did you listen to that one? He was the British guy.
I was listening to a bit of that one today. I didn't finish it, though.
No?
Yeah.
I liked it. They talked about how the far, far left is just too crazy for its own good.
And he runs the fake Tatiana, I think her name
Yeah.
is. She's not a real person, but
it's
he's
not
like super
Tatiana,
woke.
it's like Tatiana or something.
Oh, right.
Something a little bit. It's not. I was like, that's not a real name. Tatiana's a real name.
Yeah.
But yes, he runs a Twitter account of Tatiana Skoslavovich or something like that.
Yeah.
And basically puts out ultra super left mocking
Woke
tweets.
as fuck shit.
Woke as fuck shit.
Yeah.
And wrote an article to, like, I guess the equivalent of the New York Times in Britain. And they were like, yeah, this is awesome. And they published it. And he's like, no, it's not awesome. Like, I have no other credits. One, like, you can't just take something that's complete and do no research
Where's
and
the
then publish it.
vetting? Like,
Yeah, like, this is totally fake.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I do like it when people do that, though.
Yeah.
It is fun for me. All right. And just today, listening to 1425 Garrett Reisman, he was an astronaut. Has been on a couple spacewalks. 5'4" astronaut, very tiny little guy.
He's who's that fella? I can't. He podcasts with Jim Norton. I fucking can't. Matt Serra. He reminds
Oh,
me
yeah?
of Matt Serra.
Oh, yeah.
He's like the non-UFC Matt Serra.
Yeah, I could see that. I could totally see that. He just has such a like regular guy sort of voice, and the way he talks. Like I was saying, he reminds me of the uncle from Breaking Bad.
Right.
Was the DEA agent guy.
Yeah.
And just kind of, just a regular day, everyday guy, but obviously very, very smart. And he said he's better with math than he is with words. Joe Rogan was giving him a hard time at one
He
point.
said more smarter.
More smarter, yeah.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, I thought it was fascinating hearing the stories about going up into space. And probably my favorite was when he talked about how he was out on a spacewalk and they were installing an antenna and the piece just wouldn't fit together.
Right.
And he's like, holy shit, this, like, the male end was just slightly too big for the female end for it to fit in.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to force it. And they said the guys inside the space shuttle could feel the, like, pushing and feel it shaking the whole space shuttle. So, like, that's not good. And then they started to see some metal filings like actually come off. They were from just the abrasion.
Yeah.
And so he was like, what the fuck am I going to do? And they're hurtling around the world at like 18,000 miles a second and orbiting, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And that because they're going the opposite direction of what the Earth is rotating, the sun, they travel the Earth very quickly, and they get sunrises and sunsets every 45 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like, how long until the sun comes up? And the other buddy's like, oh, it's going to be 10 minutes. And then he just decided, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the male end in like the shade and put my hand on it in my insulated glove, and we'll let the female end get exposed to the sun. And the heat from the sun, because of thermal dynamics and thermal expansion, it'll get it bigger, and then the male end, because it's in the shade, will stay small.
Yeah.
And the difference in temperatures in sun and out of sun can be like 600-degree swings. So it's a pretty significant amount. And so they waited, got it into the sun, and then he pulled it quickly out of the shade and jammed the male end in, and it just fit perfectly and worked. And it was like his proudest moment of
I thought it was funny he mentioned that was on the floor for like 2 years in
Yeah,
Florida.
side by side.
Nobody tested it
Yeah,
to see if it fit.
yeah Yeah, that was. You got to imagine they probably did, but it was just something about getting it up there.
Yeah,
Because he said
I'm
he
sure.
never checked. He's like didn't push it. He didn't go down there and yell at everyone.
Yeah,
But
it was cool to hear about like working out, how the sweat will pool on your body, and then you like move suddenly, and it goes everywhere.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's got to be weird. Something. I mean, I don't even put it on my bucket list because it's such a impossibility of happening. But it's something that I think all of us would love to experience.
Oh my God, I would love to.
Yeah, go up into space.
I don't think it's that impossible. And like he got into a little bit, he's over the last 7 years he's been working with Elon Musk over at SpaceX.
Yeah.
And this year is the year that they're actually like debuting some of these
they're taking some
ships.
People up for, like NASA said, we want you to bring 4 people up to the space station and back. And once, and they have a little more freedom than NASA would have because they're a private company.
Yeah.
And so they're coming up with that. Once they do that, then he was saying that opens the door for bringing up regular people after.
Yeah. And I think that's going to quickly change a lot of things on this planet.
I wonder.
Yeah.
But he said also one of the early big stories was that maybe I don't know if I should spoil it. Yeah, sure, I'll say. So he got all excited to go look at the Earth, right? When he first got up there, he's like, oh shit, he started working right away. And then he noticed there was like a blue glow coming from the window. And he's like, oh my God, that's the Earth. So he like closed his eyes, meditated for a little bit and prepared himself, got ready to go. Yeah, like, cause that's what they all say is like when you see the Earth from the space station, from space, that it's a life-changing, like, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And so he got all psyched up, and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna see the Earth. And then he like went over to the window and his eyes closed, and then he opened his eyes, and then he said, it's kind of hard to put it into words, but if he had to, meh.
That was so funny.
Yeah, it was like, meh.
Yeah.
Not like that astounding. Like he's like the pictures that you see of the Earth. We have 1080p, like, things that you can see in a picture that you can't even see with your naked eye when you're up there.
That's right.
And so yeah, kind of underwhelming for that first experience of seeing the Earth. But then he's talked later on about spacewalks and how cool it is to be out there and how that is a little bit more awe-inspiring, I guess.
Yeah.
But great episode. It
So crazy to hear all the
recommend.
details. I loved hearing just like the fact of living in the space station and
Yeah, totally that. And yeah, his stories about his spacewalks are cool. About the guy laughing at him was awesome.
Yeah.
And then about going and spending 2 weeks under the ocean.
Yeah.
20,000 millimeters below sea level.
That's right. It's funny because the
like 60
YouTube
feet.
video, they how Joe Rogan does the clips, right?
Yeah.
They called it 20,000 or living 2 weeks at the bottom of the ocean, which is how they were selling it, but that's not what was happening at all.
Well, it was.
But it wasn't like not like the Marianas Trench.
No. The bottom of the ocean is very, very different depths depending
changes
on
a lot.
where you are. It was 20,000 millimeters, which is about 60 feet.
Yeah.
But still, being 60 feet, you can't just go up from being down there. You have to spend a whole day kind of climatizing, and what it is getting the nitrogen out of your blood.
Yeah.
The longer you spend under water with that pressure, your blood gets more and more and more nitrogen, and if you just go straight up to sea level, you just die. You get what's called the bends, and then you die.
It's so terrible.
Yeah. It's like your blood is, and they use the analogy of when you shake a pop can, and if you just pop the lid, it fizzes and blows everywhere.
Right.
But if you slowly pop the lid and you just open just a tiny little bit at a time and just let that pressure out easy, then you can open it without any bubbles.
Yeah.
Right?
Can you imagine if you're like on your way up and you know that you can't hurry up, but there's like a shark there?
Yeah.
Like shit, I'm gonna die by being eaten or by the bends.
I think you try to fight off the shark because the
better
bends
chance of
is a certain
survival
death.
there.
Yeah, like there's you definitely are going to die if you just go straight to the, you might be able to fight off the shark.
I think they say punch it in the nose.
They do say that.
I feel like that's fucking nonsense.
Yeah, like my punches when I'm in water. I don't know if any of you guys have ever tried to punch while you're in water. You don't get a whole lot of force behind your punches.
Even if you were above water, I feel like you could lay a fucking good one on that shark's nose, and it's really not going to do that much to
I
it.
guess their noses are sensitive. I don't know.
Yeah, they say that about dogs too, I guess.
I think eyes, too, is the other thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Just get your thumb in there and
yeah.
just... Mm.
Yeah. But
Meanwhile, there's 1,000 teeth chewing up the rest of you.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. Like, it's not like you can. So, because if the shark does get a hold of an arm, and then you're just gonna die,
Yeah,
right?
It's having the arm. That's happening. The arm's
Yeah.
coming off.
Maybe you could get some sort of cord around it and like tourniquet it, and then
Yeah.
not bleed out in the ocean. Seems like the salt water would really just add insult to injury there.
So awful.
Pretty bad. Pretty much.
Is that
bad
enough
news.
to stop you from surfing? Have you surfed?
I have, yeah. I surfed in Hawaii, and I always figured like I'd snowboarded and I skateboarded a lot when I was young, and I was pretty good on the skateboard. I could do some of the little flippy dippies and spinny tricks and whatnot. But so I was like all super confident. I'm like, oh, I don't need to take any lessons. Just rent me the surfboard. I'll go out there. I'll figure it out. I can see. I'll go where the other surfers are going.
I see what they're doing.
Yeah, that's fine. Give me the thing. So I went out there, and I'm on the board, and I'm trying to like get into a place where I can actually have the wave start to bring me into shore, and just super not able to see where the wave is coming from, and not able to get myself into that. And I'm also trying to be careful to not get in the way of the other better surfers than me. And I'm sort of like paddling a little bit, and then all of a sudden I'm like 30 feet further away from all the other surfers, and then all of a sudden I'm like 50 feet, and then all of a sudden I'm like 100 feet, and I was in what's called a riptide, where I was getting sucked out into the middle of the ocean.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh man, this is not good. And one of the other surfers paddled over to me. He's like, hey man, like that's not a good spot right there. You got to paddle in. You're going to be in a bit of trouble. I was like, okay, thanks, man. And so then I start trying to paddle in, and like I'm a big boy, and so I think maybe the surfboard was a little bit small for me as well. And it was hard work to paddle in from where I was. I'm going, I guess, against the riptide, and I paddled down a little bit so I wasn't fully in the riptide, and then paddled in.
Yeah,
but most surfers wear a thing called a rash guard, which is a shirt that you wear that is like not neoprene, but like a very slippery nylon, designed to reflect the sunlight.
Okay.
And prevent you from getting giant rashes on your arms from your when you're paddling.
Oh, yeah.
Your arms rub against the board. And so I had like big welts on the insides of my biceps from where my arms were rubbing on the board as I was paddling in.
Yeah.
So I guess I went out there on a board for about an hour and had no fun at all the entire time, and then decided I'll probably never go surfing again.
Not your thing. Yeah.
But no sharks.
It seems tough. Seems hard.
Yeah, it looks hard when I see beginners doing it, but I thought for sure I'd be able to do it no problem because of all the other board, like snowboarding and skateboarding experience I have.
Yeah.
Nope, I was wrong. I sucked at it. Did not do well at all. If I would have taken a lesson, I bet you that would have made all the world a difference.
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh well.
Yeah.
So UFC 247.
Yeah.
What a terrible display of judging.
Yeah.
Now in the prelims, I wish I had actually recorded the prelims and so I could have shown you some of this ridiculousness. But in the prelims, Joe was even in his commentary talking about, he's like, oh my God, that fucking judge is just looking down at, he hasn't been watching the fight for the last 30 seconds. And then he talked to Dominic for like 10 seconds and he's like, he's still not fucking looking. What the fuck? And it was like, as soon as the judges, noticed that the fight was going to the ground, this one judge especially, he was just like, okay, it's on the ground. Either I don't know enough to, or I just don't care. This part of it doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah.
And and then there was like the range in what, like there was like more split decisions on that card than there was. I think there was 3 split decisions, And some of them was like one judge was scoring 30-27, one guy, and then the other judges were like 29-28 on opposite people. And it just was like so baffling at how different all the judges scored.
Yeah.
And how it just like, yeah, it just shone a light on how they need to have more judges and how the judges need to be people that are trained in MMA.
Yeah.
And like it should really be ex-fighters.
And should definitely care about it enough to
Should
watch the fight.
should definitely care about it.
Jesus Christ.
And I don't know, man. It was pretty frustrating. I was like, I love that Joe was calling it out in the commentary, though.
I think that's
'cause
going to make some difference.
I would think so too. I mean, it has to, right?
How isn't there a professional group of people that do this? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
how the fuck isn't this a thing?
It should not be boxing judges for sure.
Yeah.
It should be MMA judges.
MMA's a thing.
And there should be MMA. I think it should be all just ex-fighters. There's enough former MMA fighters that could probably do a pretty good job. I mean, it could be super fans as well, but certainly it should be people that have some level of training, because understanding what's happening on the ground is such a crucial part of MMA. And man, like I don't feel like I would be confident enough to do it. Oftentimes when Joe's talking about what he needs to do here, what he's trying to do here, I don't know what he should do or what I'm like not sure what he's trying. I can know some of the positions, I could call that, but like how to score that, man, fuck, it's hard for sure.
Yeah,
it's not an easy job, but yeah, what was the big one? Trevin Giles and James Krause was a decision. Yeah, I think that was the one that was like James Krause looked like he had definitely won 2 of the rounds, and Trevin Giles got the decision. Oh well. Anyways, that's
I guess that's why you don't want to leave it to the decisions, especially these days.
That's UFC.
Yeah.
Should we recap what happened?
Yeah.
John Jones won the fight against Dominic Reyes in not a split decision, in a unanimous decision, but one judge scored it 49-46.
Yeah.
Basically gave 4 rounds to John, and the other 2 judges gave 3 rounds to John and 2 to Reyes. And when you look at I got to rewatch it, and maybe I'll try to actually sit down with a pen and paper and score it.
Yeah.
Because the first 3 rounds were pretty decidedly Reyes. Like if you're just taking striking into account, it was Reyes for sure.
That's what I saw.
He landed more. I don't think Jones got really any takedowns in those. He controlled the octagon more than Reyes did. And he was strategically better in saving his energy, maybe because he was the fresher fighter in the last 2 rounds.
Yeah.
So maybe you could say that was like some kind of point for him.
He took the damage well. Really well.
He did.
Yeah.
He recovered well, but he definitely got hurt. That was like, is that the most we've seen Jones hurt? Like
he's not even, man. You know what? I think Alexander might have hurt him more, like that first fight. And like Joe even brought up in the fight, he didn't train for that fight.
Yeah.
The Alexander fight.
Right. But then he came back and won in the last.
He did win. But again, that's another one of those close ones. John has a lot of these, man, on his record where you're kind of shaking your head a little bit. Like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of funny stuff about John Jones. You know? There's the picogram, Picogate. Fucking so many different things.
I don't know.
And the eye pokes. How many times has he been warned about eye pokes in his career, do you think?
Well, there was like 4 times in this fight
that
he's like, hey, fingers.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It was a good fight, though.
It was a good fight.
Yeah.
Super impressed with Reyes, even though he didn't win.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying even necessarily that he deserved to win. Like I think I've said on the podcast before, it does seem to me like the last 2 rounds should be worth more than the first 3. Or at least the last round should be worth more than the other rest of however many rounds there are in the fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're winning in the last round, you're likely that you would go on and win in a fight to the death. So that's what makes sense to me, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
So,
I kind of expected John to win that fight.
Yeah. Everyone did. He was a minus 600 fucking favorite.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And Shevchenko, minus 1,200 favorite, one of the most heavily favorited fighters. won by KO in round 3. She had a mounted crucifix. She looked perfect in that fight,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. She might be the scariest
Oh.
fighter on the roster right now.
She's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you were saying too that she doesn't look very like smooth. She looks kind of like,
She's stiff or something. Like
yeah, kind of stiff.
Herky
in her
jerky. And
movements.
like,
I think it looks kind of like a 16-bit Nintendo, like Street Fighter character.
Someone's controlling her with a video game controller
Yeah.
somewhere. Like,
Totally.
Yeah.
But I said I would like to see her and Mighty Mouse.
Yeah.
That's the
Good
fight
one.
that I would make if I was in the UFC. Obviously, Mighty Mouse not in the UFC anymore, and obviously they don't fight men against women.
I wonder
But
if they ever will.
If they would agree to it, man, I would just and I would cheer for Shevchenko as well.
Mhm.
I just would love to see that. But imagine if she beat him. You know, he's one of the arguably best pound for pound fighters in the world ever to fight.
Yeah.
So if she beats him, that puts her up into the pound for pound best fighters ever to fight,
I think so.
right?
It's interesting that, and there's not like a lot of other fighters for her in that division.
No,
She
there's
said
none.
in her post fight thing, she's like, yeah, there's lots of good ones. I'm like, I don't know, man.
No. Rogan was like saying no. He's like, yeah, who else are you going to fight? There's no one.
I wouldn't be mad at another Nunes fight. I would like to see her go up and try and take Nunes' belt.
Yeah.
Because her first 2 fights with Nunes were both very close. I saw the one here live in Edmonton.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was bad judging too that night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a more technical fighter than Nunes for sure.
Yeah.
But Nunes is be bigger and more powerful.
For sure. Yeah.
Um,
No, I mean, Valentina's a 125er for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. I'm glad that's a division for her. She wouldn't be going down to 115, I don't think.
what if she fought a different guy that isn't Mighty Mouse and a different 125 guy? Do you think she would get it worked by like a 10th ranked 125
I don't know.
guy?
Maybe. I think it just all depends on the size difference would make it one of the big deciders, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Well, what if it's a guy that is at fighting day the same weight as her?
yeah. If you don't do any weight cuts whatsoever, you just go 125 versus 125.
Well, do you think she weighs 125 on fight day?
Oh, probably not, actually. She's
Yeah.
probably more like
135, 140 maybe.
Yeah.
Right? So a guy who's also 140.
Yeah, that makes it tougher.
Do
Now
you
yeah. I don't
You think that's
so.
too much power that a guy would have? Because the guys have mechanical advantage of the shoulders.
Yeah.
That gives them like a natural power. They also have reaction speed that like naturally men have a faster reaction speed than women do. Size of the hands, obviously.
Yeah.
Men's hands typically bigger than women's.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's so technically perfect, though.
That's
like,
the thing.
she could easily knock a dude out. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think there's
with
any
her kicks,
question there.
for
Yeah.
sure. You know, or that elbow that she landed on
Oh my god. Like a surgical fucking knife.
Chikugi, and she landed this elbow from the top on the ground and just slashed her open. And great elbow. Also, I think that Chikugian is probably just a bit of a bleeder.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
'Cause
people.
that thing was squirting like
Yeah.
instantly.
Yeah, it was bleeding fast and hard.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like it wasn't like some of the giant open vagina gashes we've
No,
seen on
There's
other
no
fighters.
Diaz cut.
Yeah, there's no Diaz kind of wound.
Yeah.
But scalp wounds tend to bleed like way more than wounds in the other parts of your body.
They managed to get that closed up pretty good, though.
Yeah,
A lot of that fight, it was closed up.
yeah, but then it was also reopened like several other times
That's true.
before she like I saw it bleeding in every round after it was
That's true. Yeah.
after she landed it.
I would not want to fight Valentina.
No,
Not at all.
I like that she does her little Russian dance at the end as well.
Yeah.
Ballerina spins and whatnot.
And then there was that no-namer. It was another
Juan Adams and Justin Tafa.
Tafa. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a great fight actually.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah.
I'll actually watch that Tafa character again.
Oh, absolutely.
The other
He's
fella
Australian.
got dropped.
He had the like Tai Tuivasa tattoos, kind of Maori warrior tattoos.
I don't know. I always like the Australians for some reason.
Me too.
Yeah, they're entertaining.
Yeah, I like hearing him talk after as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, a few extra pounds on the midsection of that guy.
Yeah.
He was spilling over the top of
There's some
his
junk
shorts.
in his trunk. For
By
sure.
quite a bit.
Oh, and then
Mirsad Bektic or Bektic
Ige?
versus Dan Ige from
Yeah.
Hawaii.
That was a good fight.
It was. I was cheering for Bektic because he fights out of TriStar, and I'll just always cheer for us.
Yeah.
If he's cornering somebody.
But that Ige was looking sharp with his striking.
He was. That was another one. That was a split decision,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That could have been easily
Could have gone
Bektic's.
either way.
Bektic.
It was like,
I don't know.
however you say it.
Yeah.
It was like Ige definitely won the first round, 10-9. Bektic definitely won the second round, and Joe was saying there was an argument for the second round being 10-8. If it was, then even if Ige got the third round by 10-9, which was a very, 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 very the closest of all the rounds by far.
Yeah.
Then it would have been a draw,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It probably should have been a draw. that
Probably should have been a draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tend to agree. Or overtime, fourth
fight. Yeah.
round.
How about an overtime? That's an idea. Just like a minute.
Yeah. Or 5. Or overtime. There is no time limit.
Oh yeah.
You go till it's done.
To the death.
I would be in favor of that. I don't know. What would be the problem with that? You couldn't control how long things went.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would be
That
harder.
would be a big deal for
The-
pay-per-view.
The damage on the fighters, there would be extra damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'd see some pretty severe injuries, I think.
A lot more knockouts.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think given enough time, there's way more knockouts. If you give all these fights, they all end in a knockout eventually. If you give them no time limit.
Well, you have 5-minute rounds until the last round. The last round has no limit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, either a knockout or someone gets submitted.
Yeah.
That'll happen always.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I would be in favor of that. I don't know.
Well, yeah, for the entertainment value.
Yeah,
But again, yeah, run times will become a big problem.
maybe.
I
I
think
don't
they
know.
get 3 hours is all they get.
I don't know if they would be hard to say.
Yeah.
No other organization has ever done that, so I got to imagine it's not a good idea.
Yeah, I guess there's a reason for
Someone
it.
probably would have done it. Although Eddie Bravo in his submission grappling matches, jiu-jitsu, he does an overtime where they'll one fighter gets to start with the advantage, and then the other fighter gets to start from the advantage, and it's whoever can fight off the advantage or win it.
Yeah.
That's not a great way of explaining that, but
But that's such a different game altogether.
yeah. And then the first fight on it was Derek Lewis, the Houston native, versus Ayer Latifi.
Yeah.
Basically went the way I thought it was going to go, except I was surprised. Ayer, I thought, did better than I thought he would.
Yeah.
Um,
He didn't
Ayer's-
want none of that smoke, though.
No.
He was hugging Lewis every chance he could, basically.
yeah. But Lewis did get off some big shots, like giant
shots.
flying knees to the chest, which I guess don't knock you out, but I'm surprised.
hurt.
It's got to hurt for sure, and it's got to take something out of you. Like, I was surprised how much energy Ayer had in those late rounds after eating those big shots, and then he'd hit him with the flying knee, and then he'd follow up with punches, and Ayer got clocked in a dozen times maybe by a giant heavyweight power puncher.
Props to his chin.
Yeah,
Because holy shit.
it's impressive. But then that was one too. Was that a split decision? I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, because it was you could have easily. Well, Dominic was saying that that fight should have definitely gone to Latifi because Latifi had all the takedowns and if it landed more strikes as well.
Yeah.
Not the bigger strikes. The bigger strikes went to Lewis.
Yeah.
But the overall control of the fight was definitely Latifi way more than it was Lewis.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But again, if you're looking at damage done, it was clearly Lewis.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And
Latifi
Latifi, it was I
rocked
think
at
is
the end of that
notable.
fight.
The ref broke them up. Was it 3 times?
Yeah,
Stood them up
at least
because
twice.
Latifi was doing literally nothing with his takedown.
Yeah,
So I don't know what you count that as. You know,
yeah.
this
I don't
is
either.
it's like the chicken and egg question we keep coming back to here. But yeah, I don't know. For me, Lewis won the fight. I wasn't mad at it.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Yeah,
I guess in the end, based on what I think about winning a fight.
Although if we're looking at the
If we're
shitty
just looking
judges,
at
yeah, that
points.
was shitty judging
Yeah.
still there too, probably.
And if you're just solely looking at points, I think I'd probably give it to Latifi.
yeah. I don't know. I struggle with that because then, like, why don't we just watch point karate? You know?
True. Yeah,
So
it shouldn't be just points.
Yeah.
And points, well, it should be just points, but we just need a better system of scoring the points.
Yeah.
Like
That's what it really is.
Yeah.
The points should be more legit.
Yeah. A takedown counts for 5 points. You know, and if you don't do anything with it, maybe it only counts for 1 point.
And I also think a takedown's not really a fucking takedown unless they're down long enough. Like, say 2 or 3 seconds at least. You know what I mean? Sometimes they get these takedowns and they're right back up. Nothing happened from the takedown.
Yeah, I see that, but also it's not like they wanted to be taken down to
That's true.
to the mat.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so they wanted to stay standing up, and they did everything they could to stay standing up, but the fighter still got them to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is worth some points.
Yeah.
If you don't land any damage, I don't think it's worth nearly as much as what it seems to be worth. It seems to be worth as much as like a flurry of punches that does damage and has a guy wobbled.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah. And when you're looking at gas tank issues too, like,
Yeah.
those takedowns are doing major damage there.
You see a lot of time where there's a takedown at the end of the round that is solely just, okay, let me try to get the points from this takedown at the end of the round.
Yeah.
And they know they're not going to be able to do anything, but they know that the judges will see that takedown at the end of the round, and then that'll be a pretty significant score.
So I'd rather see, like we saw with Lewis, trying to knock the dude's head off at the end of the round
Yeah,
than trying to get a sneaky little takedown for some points.
absolutely. And I think Lewis recognized that, you know, okay, there's only 2 minutes left in this fight. I got to get up, because he had been taken down like twice in that round already.
Yeah.
He's like, he knew that he had to get up, and then he had to put it on Latifi, which he did.
So I think for Lewis going forward, he needs to work on his takedown defense, I
Yeah.
think. I mean, he has no issue getting back up.
Yeah,
That's not a problem, but
it wasn't so much like because the corner was saying that he was shooting, and then Dom actually called it out, saying that he wasn't shooting. It was a Greco takedown where he was like basically getting the underhooks on him and then tripping him and throwing him to the ground.
Yeah.
So, and you didn't see at the very end. I noticed that Lewis was trying to get in under the underhooks and trying to fight off the underhooks, but the first few times he wasn't really trying to fight off the underhooks.
Yeah.
And that's what got him taken down.
yeah, I mean, he's a brawler, man. He's not all these MMA fighters are actually MMA fighters.
Right.
A lot of them are just fighters,
Yeah.
you know, and a lot of them are just wrestlers. So, but that's why it's fun to watch them fight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go through a Joe joke here.
You want to do a Joe joke?
Okay. In keeping with our last topic here of the UFC, what is an MMA fighter's favorite part of a joke? The punchline.
Oh, nice. I was looking for it. I knew there was one like that.
Yeah. So there's a Joe joke for, I don't know. I didn't write that. I looked it up on the internet. I would credit somebody, but there's no one to credit from this website.
Fair enough.
So yeah, maybe we'll include some more of these one-liners. Shane and I both came up blank on trying to write something.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of throwing a joke in at the end.
It's good brain exercise too, though, when we can come up with.
I'll try to keep writing them myself.
Yeah.
And I encourage you to keep trying.
I will try.
But if we don't write something, we'll just look something up.
Fair enough.
Cool.
Takes the pressure off a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. I'm down with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for listening. Go to our website. Send us emails. We'd love to talk to you.
Yep.
And
and rate and review us on
yeah.
iTunes. That is so important
that
for our
apparently helps, I guess,
show.
somehow.
Yeah. And someone did, and I think it's someone we know. But someone wrote
Okay.
us a really kind review. You should go check it out.
That's pretty nice. I didn't see that. I will go look.
Yeah.
One of the things, it was actually in the Tom Papa episode, if we could just talk about every Joe Rogan episode from the last
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
They talked about there's 900,000 podcasts out there.
Yeah.
900,000 podcasts, ranked podcasts, of which we are one.
I wonder how many people are listening to podcasts.
Well,
I think it's around
there's 7
900,000.
billion. There's 7 billion people in the world.
That's true.
I think there's the odd person that listens that doesn't have their own podcast.
I saw a funny stat. Mr. Joe Rogan is the highest paid podcaster in the world.
Yeah.
At $30 million per year.
I saw that as well.
Which is pretty fucking.
And then there's like a girls podcast that is the second. There's these girls that do it's like it's a murder or like a crime podcast.
Yeah, those things kill it, man.
Yeah. So they're number 2. Who knows how many millions.
We're coming for that number 1.
But yeah, we're. You know what else they said on the Tom Papa episode is taking breaks and not being regular severely hurts your listenership. So I
think
apologize.
we've seen that a little bit. Yeah.
I'm sorry, listeners. For those of you who are sticking it out with us and trying to, listen from the beginning so you can hear us get better. I think we are getting better, and I appreciate you. And we're going to keep working at it. And thank you so much. I genuinely do appreciate the listening. I appreciate the rating and the reviewing, and send us any questions you have through our social media.
Absolutely. We'll answer them.
Thanks, guys.
Take it easy.
Joe Rogan's unique perspective is teaching us all how to best live, and we will attempt to recap all of his weekly podcasts. Now show your support and download the Rogan Report. The Rogan